LeBron James all the way in.
And here comes Simmons the other way, 3-on-2. Simmons eludes the defender and lays it in with that.
Certainly the length altered that shot. Out of the quick steps and crunches.
Play right there. Porzingis from Jennings. Throw down and a foul.
Irving, splits the defense with the dribble.
All right, guys, let's move right along on to number 7 now. The Minnesota Timberwolves. They went 1-2 last week, but this week they are going to play the Cavaliers, OKC, New York, and Portland. That is a very tough schedule for them, but let's talk about them. What do you think?
I'm actually, even though they went 1-2 this week, I've been pleasantly surprised with Minnesota recently. I kind of give them a harder time than I think a lot of people do, because I'm a little bit harder on Jesus, I just lost all semblance of talking. I'm a little harder on Karl Anthony Towns than a lot of people are. And I it's just because I feel like he's a lot better than he plays sometimes. But I think that this team is really they're finding their groove, and I think they've realized that they're a big 2 team, which is important. Like, they realize that Andrew Wiggins is not a superstar. That's my opinion, because the way they're playing is Jimmy Butler and Karl Anthony Towns are their guys. The offense goes through them, and especially Jimmy Butler right now, which is my next point. Jimmy Butler is definitely the sleeper pick for MVP, because everybody knows that James Harden, LeBron James, Giannis are in the talk. Did I say Giannis twice? Giannis, Harden, and LeBron are the 3 guys. But we know that probably the Warriors, those guys aren't going to win. Russell Westbrook isn't going to win again. The 4th guy, in my opinion, that you should be looking at, that everybody should be looking at, is Jimmy Butler. Because the way he's playing right now is so incredible. He's finally coming to terms with where he's at, and he's realizing how he needs to play for this team to be great. And they're playing great right now, minus the fact that they went 1-2. I think they're better than that week suggests, though. Which is why they stayed at their same rank from ESPN, which I agree with. They were 7 last week, 7 this week. I think that's a good shout.
Yeah, I mean, the Minnesota Timberwolves, I was high on them this year, thinking that they would, at least be a 4th or 5th spot in the West with how loaded it is, with how tough it is. But I trust the play of Karl Anthony Towns, and I trust the defensive prowess of Andrew Wiggins. But now that you've added Jimmy Butler, who had a very slow start to the season, averaging below his career averages, but now he's way above them in some aspects, especially in scoring with 21 compared to 16, and also just rebounding as well. He's gone up to 5.3, and assists have gone up by 2. So he's playing a lot better than he used to. Efficiency shooting from the field is also 50%, which is, I think, a better stat to look at than just like your 3-pointers, your 2-point shot, and all that stuff. And, it's crazy to me that we kind of slept on him because he was one of the talks of the NBA offseason.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't talk about him that much, but I honestly have never been super high on Jimmy Butler. I've always liked him. But I just, I never felt like he was, a superstar.
Yeah, but, I mean, that's kind of how I feel about Paul George. He's, in the same boat as Jimmy Butler, but Jimmy Butler's playing a lot better now, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Jimmy Butler is finally stepping up to what the hype was around him when this Minnesota Timberwolves team formed and when the Bulls traded their picks, or not their picks, but their assets. Minnesota traded their assets. But now I'm just seeing that we've got, obviously, to talk about him now more.
Yeah.
As the season progresses, especially if they want to become a NBA championship team.
Yeah, contender for sure.
They're going to have to compete with the Warriors, the Rockets now. I'll be kind of curious to see, especially with the way Karl Anthony Towns is, how they will handle the Warriors lineup. I know they've already played, but I'm going to be curious to see when they play, if they ever do play in a 7-game series, how it would match up.
Yeah. I'm certainly interested. I mean, I don't think they're ready yet.
No.
Certainly. I think they need another year, honestly, which is hard to say because Jimmy Butler is 28. You don't want to waste your time with him. But Like, I think Andrew Wiggins just needs another year. I like him, and I agree with you. Like, I've been pleased with his progression in the league, but I think he has more to give, and I think he has another level he can go to. But there's moments where I feel like he's just such a non-factor in games that you can't win with your third option being a non-factor.
Yeah.
So they definitely need improvement. And Karl Anthony Towns, like I've always said, his defense needs to get a little bit better. But even him, he's playing a lot better than I felt like he was at the beginning of the season.
Should we move on to
Let's
the next
move
team? The Oklahoma City Thunder, the team that we've kind of ragged on a little bit, but they're starting to pick up their form in some aspects.
They certainly are.
They're 22-18. They went 2-1 last week, and this week they're going to be playing Portland, Minnesota, and then at Charlotte.
Yeah.
What do we think about the Oklahoma City Thunder now that the big three are starting to score more points with each other?
I still don't like this team.
Yeah.
Still not crazy about it, regardless of how much better they've been playing, which I won't lie, it's significantly better than they were towards the, maybe like 3 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't remember which game it was, but there was a game that they had where they got absolutely demolished. And ever since, they've been playing really good. What was it? I don't even remember which game it was. I'll find it later, probably. But yeah, I feel like this team is definitely getting better. They're finding their groove, and it's the same thing with Minnesota that I talked about. They're realizing that they're not a big three team, despite how Carmelo Anthony's been scoring recently, which is better than he was in the past. I still do think they have come to the understanding that this is Russell Westbrook's team. Paul George is his sidekick, and that's the way they're going to win games. And it, like I said, same thing for Minnesota, where Andrew Wiggins is kind of he's not the third guy, or he's just not the third superstar anymore.
Mm-hmm.
That's what Oklahoma City is doing, and I think it's a good step, but I still don't think they're anywhere in contention to do anything in the playoffs.
Yeah, OKC to me is one of those teams that kind of fool you by the eye test. Regular casual NBA fans will obviously, be like, oh my God, this team is stacked, this team is loaded, Russell Westbrook's a beast. Why don't you want him on your team? He's an animal. But he's shown you time and time again Allen Iverson-esque like characteristics, being all about him and his stats rather than a team player. And I think that, like we've talked about numerous amount of times, and I'm sure a lot of people have talked about it, is one of the reasons why Kevin Durant left.
Mm-hmm.
But, the only thing we got to give credit to OKC right now is that they're starting to figure out a Formula 2 win.
Agreed.
Billy Donovan,
Saved his job.
Whether it's his doing or whether it's the management's doing, they're finding a way to kind of coexist with one another.
Yeah.
Especially because, in my opinion, I think Carmelo should come off the bench and be with the second unit.
Yeah.
Because he'll score a lot more points there and he'll have the ball a lot more in his hand. But they're making it work so far. Like we said, they went 2-1 last week, and
that's including a 14-point loss to the Phoenix Suns.
Yeah.
Keep that in mind.
But, of course, we don't expect OKC to really be a threat in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
But we do expect them to be kind of competitive in some aspects to whatever team they face. Whether they are a 6th or a 5th seed.
Yeah.
It's all up to how they play with one another.
Yeah, agreed. And this is just another team that they're going to keep getting more comfortable, I think, as the season goes on. Or you're going to hit the point where Paul George realizes he's not staying next year, and then they completely fall to pieces, which, honestly, don't be surprised if that happens. I know I wouldn't be.
Yeah, I don't think anybody should be surprised. It's just what kind of sucks is that I like a lot of these players on the team, but they just don't mesh well together. You could like a team that has so many all-stars, basically looking like an all-star East or West team, but they just don't mesh well at all. And then you're just kind of left looking at the roster wow, we should really move some of these pieces away.
Yeah.
Should we move on?
Let's do it. Let's move on.
Number 9, the Washington Wizards. We've been very harsh on them.
Yeah.
They went 2-1 last week. They're going to be facing all at home Utah, Orlando, and Brooklyn. All winnable games.
Mm-hmm.
Should honestly be going 3-0 or maybe 2-1, depending on how that Utah game goes.
Yeah. Never know with Utah.
Yeah, but what's going on here? What are we thinking about this Wizards team now? After our midseason report card,
which I think I gave them kind of a scathing.
I think you gave them like
review.
a C. I think
so. Man, the Wizards team. This team is so hard to read for me because sometimes they look so great, and then sometimes they just look like absolute shit. You know.
Mm-hmm.
The Knicks game, they look great. I mean, I watched most of that game because my Knicks were playing. They absolutely smashed the Knicks. Like, it wasn't even... It honestly, it was just a bad game. But Washington looked great. They looked like they should always play. And then the next night they go out, they win by 2 against Memphis.
Mm-hmm.
I feel they're too good to be only beating Memphis by 2. Close game. Then they lost to Milwaukee. Their team is just so crazy because I feel like it's like they're like a mood ring, you know? Like whatever the day is, like whatever mood they're in that day, you have no idea what's going to happen with the team. How is John Wall going to play? How is Bradley Beal going to shoot the ball? There's just like you have no idea. I personally have no idea. I just don't know how to read the team, and I think halfway into the season we should know. We should start to know by now what this team is going to look like night in and night out, and I just don't feel like I do. Like how they're going to play night in, night out.
Yeah, that's where I'm kind of feeling with this Washington Wizards team. This article on ESPN or like what the power rankings are talking about is that Otto Porter is averaging his career high in points, rebounds, assists, and 3-point percentage.
Mm-hmm.
And he also ranks 6th in plus real minus, only behind LeBron James.
Yeah.
But I just feel like that's a very skewed stat for me. I know that Otto Porter Jr. is a good player, and obviously, he signed a max deal after they've increased the max by a lot now, so it doesn't look as much.
Yeah.
But still, this team is mostly around John Wall and Bradley Beal.
Yeah.
With Otto Porter, shooting threes from the corner. I'm just not sold on this team at all. I love John Wall. I love his point guard ability and his vision.
Mm-hmm.
But without a jump shot,
yeah,
he's a very, very big liability.
Yeah.
And it's going to cause the Wizards to lose games that they should win, like we've seen so far in the regular season.
Mm-hmm.
But it's going to be even more apparent in the playoffs. I can't remember how old is he now, like 20...
John Wall? I think he's 25, right?
25? 27.
27. Whoa.
Yeah,
John Wall.
Because I remember him in like 2011.
Oh, yeah. It's Kentucky. And
yeah,
I remember that.
With DeMarcus Cousins and all them. So, he's been in the league for a while now. He really should have figured out a jump shot by now. And I think I'm not going to say never, but I think now it's like too late to assume that a jump shot can be found.
Yeah.
In terms of building one. Now that he's like really been used to a mechanic for so long. So I just don't trust the Wizards at all. And it's kind of almost the same situation as like the Raptors. They're good in the regular season. They've had great runs in the regular season. But then when it comes to playoffs, they either choke or they just don't play well at all.
Yeah, agreed. This is my week of players that should play more on good teams. Kelly Oubre. He needs to play more.
How many minutes is he getting?
He gets... What is he getting? He's getting minutes per game. The last 10 games he's been playing 24 minutes a game, but in January in general, 20 minutes per game. I'd play him 30 minutes a game. That's just my opinion. I think Kelly Oubre is really good. I really like what he does when he's on the court.
Mm-hmm.
And just as far as like his ability to just make plays, he's really good. And I like their scoring when they have him on the court with John Wall, Beal, and Porter. It's kind of their small ball lineup. Mm-hmm. And then you could put Gortat at the center. Obviously, is probably your 5th guy on that lineup. I like that team. And if they played that a little bit more often, I think that their offense would be a little bit more consistent. I think they got to do that. That's just my opinion.
Nothing else to say on the Wizards other than
why does Kelly Oubre look like he's doing like a fashion shoot in this little profile picture? I don't know. That's kind of weird.
Yeah, that's how ESPN wanted it.
Like a toothbrush model. You know,
What?
I have like not a toothbrush model, but like a white strips, like Crest white strips.
Ugh.
Milwaukee.
Number 10, Milwaukee, the last team we'll talk about on the list. Number 10, they went 2-1 this week. They're going to be at Indiana, and then they have Orlando and Golden State at home, and then they also play Miami away on the road. Giannis, man.
Giannis having an incredible season. This is going to be their first time playing this season, Golden State and Milwaukee. Second time that Giannis and Kevin Durant have matched up against each other in the last 2 seasons. Mm-hmm. It's going to be really interesting to watch those guys go head-to-head because just as far as being an all-around juggernaut on the court, those guys are, they're up there, obviously. I'm going to be very interested to see those guys play.
Yeah, I mean, Giannis and Kevin Durant, they both scored 30 points the last time they played each other. Last season, I believe that's when it was. And we're just going to see what step Giannis is going to be taking against Kevin Durant because this is going to be like the true real test going against an out-of-conference superstar mega team.
Yeah.
With the likes of Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, and Kevin Durant all on the same team, looking like an all-star West game. We'll see if Giannis can step up for his team. I do believe that no one's injured on the Bucks, I believe, so they're going to be at full strength.
Yep.
And I really hope that Giannis balls out against them, whether it's a close nail-biter game.
Yeah.
I just hope that Giannis is able to step up to the pressure now that he has the MVP and the spotlight around him in Milwaukee, which he hasn't had before. I just hope that we see the real growth and improvement, and I'm hoping to see on ESPN there's Giannis talk.
We need more of it. There's not enough. Even though there's a ton, there's still not enough because he's so good. Giannis is so incredible to watch. Honestly, the athleticism is just, it's insane. It's mind-boggling. I like the Bucks though. I think they're getting a little bit better too as the season keeps going on. Even though their record isn't necessarily like they're not piling up the wins, I can see a lot of improvement from the team as the season goes on. Yeah,
I mean, once Giannis is able to kind of command a jump shot, which he still has time to do. He's only 25.
Giannis is only 23.
Is he only 23?
Yeah.
Why did I think he was 25 for some reason?
He's only 23.
So he's only 23, so there's plenty of time to develop a jump shot. I hope he's very serious and dedicated about it because we've seen guys like I've talked about before, John Wall, Derrick Rose, who have not developed a jump shot, and it just doesn't help their game at all when they're drivers. And how's Jabari? Is he back yet, or is he?
No, he's not playing. He hasn't played this season yet, I don't think. No, he hasn't played at all. So as soon as he gets back too,
we'll have another guy to kind of sub off the bench.
Yeah, he just got recalled back from the G League today. So we could be seeing some Jabari soon.
I hope so, man. I think I was rooting for Jabari ever since he was in Duke. I just hope that he's able to stay healthy this time.
It says he was recalled back from I said recalled back from G League, but it says February return is what they're hoping for Jabari.
Okay.
I mean, the team gets incredibly more dynamic as soon as he comes back. He adds, if he plays even anywhere near the potential that he has, this team could really be a serious contender, which is scary for teams like Cleveland and Boston. I would be scared if I was them and he came back and played like he did. Because this team has a lot of really, really good pieces. People forget how important Dellavedova was to that Cleveland Cavaliers championship team. His defense, people might call him dirty, but defensively, he's great.
Yeah.
Brogdon, great. Eric Bledsoe, great. Thon Maker, he's developing. He's getting better, Then they have people like Chris Middleton, whether they keep him through the trade deadline or not. I'm not sure if they're going to. But he's a great role player as well. Is able to come off the bench and score points. Great wingman. I like this team, man. I like him more and more as the season goes on too. Yeah. Especially as Giannis just continues to dominate so much. It's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, after all the talk that we talked about with Giannis, it's time. It's time for him and this Bucks team to kind of make a splash move statement against a team like the Golden State Warriors, and I think we will see it.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I think they're going to win that game. I'm calling it. That's my pick of the week.
All right, pick of the week.
Milwaukee is going to beat Golden State.